This is Jonathan Dickerson in Tainan, Taiwan. We're here talking with Antonio Graceffo, the Brooklyn monk, and he's going to be talking about his experiences along the Thai-Burma border with a monk named Prah Kru Ba. Now, Prah Kru Ba is becoming mildly famous. The guy is very interesting. He's a college graduate, is a professional fighter, a ranked professional Muay Thai fighter, a soldier, and a monk. And one of the things he does is he takes in displaced children. And Antonio spent a little bit of time there, and we're here to hear about it.
How you doing, John?
I'm okay.
Always happy to be in Thailand, capital of the world.
It is.
Yeah, Kru Ba. Basically, the story starts. I was here in Taiwan about 7 years ago, and I saw this magazine article about this monk in Thailand who was taking in these orphan kids and teaching them Muay Thai, which is the Thai kickboxing, and teaching them horsemanship and working on the Burma border. And I saw this story and I went, wow, man, I really want to go train with this guy. And but I just arrived in Taiwan, so I had to put it off. And I put that, I cut that story out of the magazine and put it in a book, put it away, forgot about it. A year and a half later, I'm leaving for the Shaolin Temple, which was like my first really big adventure. I wrote the book, The Monk from Brooklyn. That's where my name came from. And wasn't my name at birth. And anyway, I'm packing. And that magazine article falls out of the book, falls right on the floor. And I saw it and I'm like, whoa, I go, this is like a sign from God, I gotta go there. So, but I was on my way to China, so I put that away and I flip on the TV, and literally on the Chinese TV, on Taiwanese TV, there was a documentary about Prah Kru Ba. And I stopped packing and I sat and watched it, and I was just, I have to meet this man. And so months and months and months later, after I got out of China and a number of other things happened to me, so I fly into Thailand. I'd only been there once before for 3 days. Did not speak a word of Thai. Didn't know the geography. I had found 2 stories about Kru Ba online, and I printed them both out. And one of them had a grainy black and white photo of Kru Ba, a big muscular monk riding on his horse. So one article said he lived in Chiang Rai. One said he lived in Mae Sai. So I went to Chiang Rai, which is like 100 miles from Mae Sai, and Mae Sai is right on the Burma border. And I was like bouncing back and forth, Chiang Rai, Mae Sai on the bus, looking for him. And finally in Mae Sai, I saw a monk on the street, and I showed him the picture. And he knew Kru Ba, and he told me, Mae Cham, go to Mae Cham, which is like almost all the way back to Chiang Rai. So I go 80 miles south now, and this is all in one day. And I must have made this trip like 5 times in one day. And I get to Mae Cham, and first, when I got there, it was dark, and so I had to sleep, and I had to find a hotel, and I couldn't read Thai, and I couldn't speak Thai, and there was nothing there. There was like nothing remotely there. And I saw some Chinese characters on a sign, and I went, oh, maybe they can understand me. So I went in there to speak Chinese to them, and apparently the hotel was owned by like some old KMT soldier who wasn't there, but the Thai girl rented me a room. I couldn't buy food. I went without dinner because I just couldn't speak any, couldn't communicate. Next morning, I get up, leave the hotel, and I go to a gas station. And I'm just sitting there like, how am I going to find this guy? And I sit right next to the gas pump, and every single person who came in to buy gas, I showed them the picture of Kru Ba. And finally, one guy basically made me understand, yeah, I know who that is. And he's trying to give me directions. And he's like, whatever it was. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying, man. No clue. And he's like trying to give me directions, and he's like showing me turn left, turn right, and I'm like, man, no way. And finally he just goes like, get on the back of my motorcycle, and he drives me up the mountain. So we drive up the mountain into this forest monastery, and he just leaves me there. And I don't even know where I am, and I was in the middle of the jungle, and I see this little path, and I follow it, and it leads to this little hut, bamboo hut, and I stick my head in, and there's a monk like laying on the bed, and I go, Kru Ba? And he looks at me, and I go, yeah, I'm Antonio, I'm from America, came here to train with you. And he goes, I don't speak English. He goes, you speak Thai? I'm like, no, I don't. And we just stared at each other and kind of nodded and stared and nodded. And I go, do you speak Chinese? And they like sent for one of the tribal boys. Some of the tribal kids speak Chinese, but it was like crazy Tachu dialect, and we couldn't communicate. And then I said something about boxing, and he just like woke up, boxing? And next thing I know, I'm in a boxing ring, and I'm fighting.
Who are you fighting?
They called this kid to fight me. His name was Pyong. He was like 21 years old. And we would later go on to be like just absolutely best friends. And 2 rounds of boxing, And right away, I said, all right, well, they don't really know how to box. You know, I mean, that's not their specialty. I took it very easy on him. I was kind of helping him and stuff. Plus, I'm, so much bigger than they are. And second 2 rounds were supposed to be Muay Thai. I didn't even make it like 30 seconds of the first round.
What happened?
Pyong kicked me with his shin so hard in the thigh that I started crying. I was literally crying and cursing. I was cursing and crying. And when they said, go again, like they separated us and go. And he looked like he was going to kick that same thigh again. So I put my hand there to block it, which obviously would have shattered all my fingers. And I just had never been hit like that in my life. And he kicked me like 4 or 5 more times in the thigh. And I said, okay, I give up. Yes, you win. Muay Thai is better than boxing. And so Kru Ba, he asked me where are you sleeping, and I'm like, I wanted to stay here with you. And so he sent me out into the jungle. Pyong took me, and there was like this little platform, sort of a hut. It looked like maybe they were building a hut and it didn't have a roof yet. So they gave me a blanket and just like left me there. And so I thought, okay, I guess they want me to sleep here. And so I'm sleeping there. And it's really freaky because there's no walls, there's no roof, and I'm out in the middle of the jungle. And it is loud, man. It's louder than Brooklyn ever was, man. There's all kinds of stuff going on in there. And it's very easy to imagine that most of those things are venomous and that they eat Italian food. And so in the middle of the night, suddenly this aerial flare explodes overhead, like almost like the kind they shoot from artillery. I don't know. It was a big flare, and it goes off. Poof, starburst right over the camp, and it's lit up like daylight, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And then I'm hearing all these ba 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 all over the place, and I'm seeing flashlights, I'm hearing men yelling and shouting, and I'm hearing dogs, and I'm like, what's going on? And I knew this is right on the Burma border, and just very recently there had been shelling across the border from Burma. Relatively recently there had been the Burmese army actually invaded Thailand so that they could flank one of the tribal armies and attack them from behind, and people got killed, on both sides of the border. And I mean, just there's all kinds of killing up there. There's drug lords, and they're all armed, and they got armies, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, I gotta run away, but where am I gonna go? I'm in the middle of the jungle. I'm like, I'll go for help. I'm like, who's going to help me? And I don't speak English. And I didn't know anybody's names. It was the other thing. Like, if you've never lived in a foreign culture that's so different, you can't remember people's names. It's like months till you like learn people. They're like, my name is Pyong. My name is Puchai. My name is, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Silverware falling on the floor, and so in the middle of all this, Pyong just comes walking out, calm as can be. He's got a blanket over his shoulder like Linus. Just lays down next to me and goes to sleep.
So your first day here, you finally found the place, through a good Samaritan. You're at the camp for a minute and a half before you're fighting. And then you're sleeping in the middle of the jungle in a strange land where you're thinking you probably might get eaten anyway, and a battle breaks out.
Basically, yeah. Now, to be fair, I honestly don't know if it was a battle, and I don't know if it was just like Chinese New Year and they were doing fireworks. I have no idea. I had no way of asking. The next morning, I was like trying to ask people what happened, and of course, nobody spoke any English, and that was it. I wrote in my diary, I will never know.
I will never know.
I'll never know. And so Pyong, we woke up the next morning, and Pyong said to me, I really like your watch. Well, he couldn't speak English, but I understood. He's like saying, oh, I really like your watch. Can I see it? And I handed it to him, and he put it on and walked away.
He stole your watch?
Stole my watch.
Did you ever get it back?
Yeah, but he kept stealing it back.